Of a rivalry that goes back a long ways. Two AFC West rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. In the story of this day, we will witness a little bit of National Football League history. That is Peyton Manning arriving here at about 10:40 Mountain Time this morning with his first 3 passing yards. Peyton Manning will become the NFL's all-time leader in passing yardage. Meanwhile, as has taken place in every stadium around the country, here in Denver, a reminder of those who have lost their lives and who were injured over in Paris. That was Darian Stewart of the Broncos carrying the French flag into the stadium. And before we get underway, due to the terrorist attacks in Paris on Friday, we pause for this.
Ladies and gentlemen, on Friday, the entire world experienced a tragic loss of lives in the terrorist attacks against civilians in Paris. At this time, please stand and join in a moment of silent reflection for the victims, their families, and loved ones. Thank you. The Denver Broncos and the National Football League ask you to please remain standing and kindly remove your hats as we honor America with the singing of our national anthem, as performed today by Technical Sergeant Krista Joyce and Airman First Class Jamie Teachiner from the Air Force Academy Band.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
F-16 jets from Buckley Air Force Base in the Air National Guard.
And that's how we start our day here in Denver, Colorado. Remind you, today's game being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. Down on the sidelines with us today, as usual, Jamie Erdahl. Jamie.
Well, Greg, I tell you, you and Trent already talked about how Peyton Manning is handling setting these 2 records today. I spoke with Broncos GM and also Pro Football Hall of Famer John Elway before the game, and it was like having the same conversation as we did yesterday. He didn't make a big deal about it, but agreed that if he was in this position, he would value the wins more than he would the passing yards, because as Peyton says, it takes a lot more people to accomplish those wins. But don't forget the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid coming off of a bye week as a head coach, 14-2 in his career. So expect this to be quite the battle today, but also a historic one, Greg.
All right, Jamie, and you're right. Peyton could not have emphasized more in our meeting with him that, of course, it's a very nice achievement, but the most important thing to him are the wins.
And the fact that the Broncos now have won 7 straight games against Kansas City, and He just wants to talk about the wins. He said, yes, the yards are nice. Obviously, he doesn't want to downplay the fact that he is going to be breaking an NFL record at some point in time today, and throwing over 70,000 yards is quite the accomplishment. But he wanted to focus more on the wins and just what that's taken, and the people within the organizations, both in Indianapolis and in Denver, just had a lot of people to thank, and he was very grateful for everything that everybody had done for his career.
It probably will not take long. Kansas City won the toss and has deferred, which means they will kick to the Broncos. Omar Bolden is deep and will not get a chance to return that. And here's number 18, Peyton Manning, on the verge of NFL history, taking the field just 2 yards behind Brett Favre, 3 yards shy of the most passing yards all time. Trent, it's going to be nice to be able to say we were here.
You know, it's an incredible achievement, and it's not only the fact that he's had greatness for season in and season out, but over 18 years, that type of excellence, and to be able to be knocking on the door of this type of record.
Going to hand it off to Ronnie Hillman for a yard. Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing we didn't make that bet with Gary Kubiak that it would be on the first play from scrimmage.
That was a funny conversation you and Gary had yesterday about if that first play was going to knock out the record as we get ready for here. Snap number 2.
Hillman to the 23. Jay Howard makes the stop, and it'll be 3rd and 7.
Well, and having a chance to talk with offensive coordinator Rick Dennison, he was saying how important third downs have been going into the bye week for them a couple of weeks ago. They weren't very good on third down, but the last 2 weeks, the Broncos have converted 50% on third down.
Manning going deep and is intercepted midfield. Picked off by Marcus Peters and is out of bounds on the far side of the field. Peters, in their first meeting, intercepted Manning and returned it 55 yards for a touchdown. He makes his 4th interception of the season right here.
Manning gets pressure in the pocket, and he's trying to slide against Justin Houston on the inside. You're going to see as he comes in, he gives a little nod and then gets up the field. Peyton Manning trying to buy time to push it up the field. You see Houston getting that inside pressure. Just underthrows that ball. Marcus Peters able to undercut it and take the ball away from Vernon Davis.
And now the Kansas City Chiefs, after their 7th interception in the last 4 games, are set up at the Denver 31. Alex Smith at quarterback. And he'll throw. Quick pass to about the 25-yard line. And that is complete to the tight end, Travis Kelce. Alex Smith, 9 touchdown passes, just 3 interceptions, has not thrown a pick, Trent, since week 3 of this season at Green Bay.
It's been an amazing stretch for him. That's 198 consecutive passes now without an interception. He did have 2 interceptions this first contest against these Broncos, but as you mentioned, Greg, it's been a long time since he's turned it over.
On 2nd and 4. The give is to Charkandrick West, and he bulls his way to about the 22-yard line. An offensive line that Coach Andy Reid says is coming together. Missing left guard Ben Grubbs today, but rookie center Mitch Morse has been a terrific addition. And second-year running back Charkandrick West doing a pretty good job filling in for the injured Jamal Charles.
He's a nice change of pace. Nile Davis is a healthy scratch today. That's who he had been rotating with in the backfield, but Charkandrick West will be carrying the load for the Chiefs today.
West and Sherman in the backfield on 3rd and short yardage. West with the first down just inside the 20-yard line. The Denver Broncos, not easy to score on first possessions of the game. The only defense in the NFL with no points allowed on the opponent's first possession.
And they're stingy in the first quarter as well. They've only given up 7 points in the first quarter all season long. But it's interesting now with the Chiefs moving across the 20-yard line. You mentioned the Broncos' red zone defense. The first time these teams played, the Chiefs were only 1 for 4 in the red zone.
Give it to West. West to the 15, inside the 10, inside the 5, to the 4-yard line. It'll be first and goal.
Talked with Andy Reid about the reshuffling of the offensive line and what they've had to do up front. You mentioned Ben Grubb's not playing today, so they've had to make some adjustments once again, but he likes this team, this offensive line, the way they've come together. He feels the most growth on this team. What's the difference between game number 2 against these Broncos and today? He said the improvement of that offensive line.
This Denver defense, number 1 in the National Football League. First and goal. West, straight ahead, looking for the end zone. Touchdown.
Well, Greg, the Chiefs coming off this bye week really sending a message here early in the game, getting the big turnover against Peyton Manning on the Broncos' first possession, and then, of course, finishing this drive with the Charkandrick West touchdown.
West's 3rd rushing touchdown of this season. We mentioned this Chiefs team has been playing better since a 5-game losing. They started the season 1-5, and Andy Reid had a conversation with his team. He said, I've never been in this situation before, so we're in this together.
He said, well, and he took responsibility for it. He said, listen, I'm as much to blame in all this as anybody, but I'm not going anywhere, and I'm putting everything I have into it. I expect you guys to do the same thing, and since then, the Chiefs have responded.
Cairo Santos for the extra point. A little bit of a fumble snap, but it is good, and with 11:21 to play, it's the Kansas City Chiefs who come into Denver and strike first. Peyton Manning gets intercepted by Marcus Peters. Charkandrick West with the touchdown. 7-0 Chiefs. That's the rookie Marcus Peters, the first-round draft choice out of Washington. His interception set up the Chiefs for a 5-play, 31-yard drive in just over 2.5 minutes. Bolden is again deep. And this one will not be returned either. So once again, Manning and the offense take the field looking for 3 yards and 7 points to pull even.
Well, they tried in that first series to run the ball on 1st and 2nd down. The problem with that is you leave yourself 3rd and long if you're not productive on those first 2 downs, and that's what happened. So the Chiefs were able to bring some pressure, made Manning slide in the pocket, and ultimately got the turnover. So look for them to get back to more of the quick throws, get the ball out of Peyton's hands quickly.
Move 20, move 20 side. Hey, 56 is Mike. 56 is Mike. Can.
Hillman behind Manning. Manning trying to dance out of trouble, lost the football. It's on the ground and covered by Hillman.
Well, and so much for trying to get the ball out of Peyton Manning's hands quickly. Demaryius Thomas told us on Saturday that this offense is about play-action passes and getting the ball down the field, and that time it looked like they were trying to set up the play-action pass, just not enough time for Manning as he was scrambling out of the pocket.
Denver's lost only 1 fumble all season long. 2nd and 12. Manning throwing outside. That is complete to Hillman, out of bounds at the 22-yard line. That is a 4-yard pickup and a brand new record. 71,840 yards.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed NFL history. With that completion, Denver Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning has become the NFL's all-time leader in career passing yards. Peyton has thrown for nearly 72,000 yards during his 18-year NFL career. On behalf of Broncos country, congratulations, Peyton Manning, on your historic achievement.
That ball sent over to the sideline. It'll be taken care of by, that's Chris Valenti. And Chris Valenti will move it over to Joe Horgan from the National Football League, who said earlier this week Peyton practically has his own wing in Canton, Ohio.
Well, and he should, and rightfully so. And you can just see, Peyton was probably the last person that wanted to stop the game and have that moment. He's right in the middle of a drive, right in the middle of a game, and hasn't quite started the way they wanted. So I know he's excited to get this game going again.
Meanwhile, he's looking at 3rd and 8 right now. C.J. Anderson in the backfield. Manning to throw again over the middle. And popped up in the air and incomplete. That pass behind his intended receiver, Emmanuel Sanders. Let's go back to the record-setting pass.
Just a quick throw to Hillman out in the flat. Able to pick up the 4 yards as Derek Johnson makes the tackle, needing just those 3 yards. And as we stated, Hillman picking up 4.
Congratulations indeed to Peyton Manning. DeAnthony Thomas is deep for the upcoming punt from Britton Colquitt. Caught and down inside the 30-yard line. Kayvon Webster making the tackle. On the sideline, Peyton Manning, as you said, Trent, not exactly how he wanted it to go, but congratulations all around to one of the great quarterbacks ever.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 2016 Honda Civic.
Welcome back to beautiful and scenic Denver, Colorado. Those mountains in the background, Trent?
Pretty spectacular.
Chiefs at their own 27-yard line. This is West getting about a yard and out of bounds at the 28, forced out by Derek Wolfe, number 95. And Manning starting the day 2 yards behind Brett Favre and picked up 4 on that completion to set the record, which he will continue to add to, taking dead aim now on 72,000.
Well, it's an unbelievable accomplishment, and as we've talked about already in this game, it's not just doing it for 1 year or a group of years, but over the course of an 18-year career, accumulating that many yards, it definitely defines greatness.
Smith on 2nd and 8, throwing at Thomas, and Thomas with running room. 40, midfield, and out of bounds.
Having a chance to talk to Wade Phillips about what the Chiefs are doing differently now than they did in week 2. And he said, you have to remember, week 2 was a short week, so everything was pretty vanilla on both sides of the football. The Chiefs have gotten more to those quick throws, the bubble screens, the wide receiver screens, and the zone read with the running, as we saw Alex Smith a week ago or 2 weeks ago before their bye week, getting over 70 yards rushing against Detroit. So there are some ways that the Chiefs have changed things up since the first time these teams met.
First down now from the 37, Smith. And this is the tight end, Brian Parker, and Parker run out of bounds close to the 30. He'll call it the 31 or 32-yard line. A look at the Broncos' number 1 ranked defense, number 97, Malik Jackson, having a fine season at defensive end. DeMarcus Ware sidelined with the bad back. Second-year linebacker Shaquille Barrett playing well on the outside. And cornerback Aqib Talib out of the game. 1-game suspension after last week's eye-poking incident. Bradley Roby starting opposite Chris Harris Jr. 2nd and 4. Little movement up front. And this looks like it will go against Kansas City. Gene Steratore, our referee.
Ball start. Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Trent, the first time these teams played, Kansas City felt they had Denver. They had them. Lost it on a fumble at the very end of the game. Having lost that game, but the way they played it, you've got to figure they've come in here feeling good about themselves and the way they can take on the Broncos.
They do, and everybody we've talked to, including Andy Reid, feels very confident about what they were able to accomplish. Just too many mistakes in that first game. They had 9 penalties in the first game. They had 5 turnovers in the first game. So it's going to be important for the Chiefs to be able to handle this crowd noise and not have these motion penalties.
2nd and 9. This is West. These teams met in week 2 of this season. Marcus Peters, who had an interception today, picked off Manning and returned it for an early touchdown. And Manning hit Emmanuel Sanders with 36 seconds remaining to tie the game at 24. And on the next play from scrimmage, Bradley Roby recovered Jamal Charles' fumble, returned it for the game winner. Denver won it 31-24. That was a bitter pill for Kansas City to swallow early on.
Well, and that's really what started that 5-game losing stretch. And really the last couple of weeks, they've gotten back to the mindset that Andy Reid likes and the way they're approaching things.
3rd and 5. Smith up the middle and hit at the 30-yard line. That's 3 yards short of a first down. Chris Harris Jr. combining with Brandon Marshall.
Alex Smith takes a heck of a shot. He steps up in the pocket. He realizes he doesn't have any space, and I don't know if he thought he was going to get a block. You see him as he's laying on the ground there looking up at Macklin, trying to figure out what he was trying to do, and that's not a hit you want to take very often.
Cairo Santos, 16 out of 20 in field goals this season. Has hit from 51 twice. And that one is picture perfect. 6:19 to play in the first quarter. Kansas City 10-0 over Denver. Hey, this Thursday on NFL Network, star rookie Marcus Mariota leading the Tennessee Titans into an AFC South clash with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who knocked off Baltimore today. Thursday Night Football, Thursday at 8 only on NFL Network. 2 young, up-and-coming, promising quarterbacks.
2 exciting quarterbacks to keep an eye on. Their teams have had struggles, but both those guys have been able to put up some good numbers this year.
Santos ready to kick it away. This one lower, but still not returnable. And once again, Manning and the Broncos offense will begin from their own 20-yard line. Manning has made history and now looking to add to it.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx, how the holidays arrive, and by Zales. Declare your love with gifts from Zales, the Diamond Store.
6:19 to play in the first. Manning back at the controls of an offense that has stalled pretty much so far. And this is Ronnie Hillman. And Hillman out to the 25-yard line. Hey, never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play and score, every game, and every highlight, right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now at cbssports.com/mobile. We know one thing from talking to the Broncos: the running game is a point of emphasis.
Well, and that's something that they've always leaned on. When I say they've always leaned on Gary Kubiak and what he's been trying to do as a play caller.
That pass to the outside to Cody Latimer doesn't get very much at all. It'll be 3rd and 4. There's Gary Kubiak.
He talked to us about trying to find that balancing act between what Peyton does well and what he's traditionally done as a play caller and as an offensive system. And it has gotten better, but he admits there is growing pains.
Manning needs the 30-yard line for a first down.
Let's go, Angel! Angel! Stop him! Angel! Stop him! Go down! Stop him! Omaha!
And that pass is incomplete and almost intercepted by Ron Parker, the Kansas City safety, intended for Andre Caldwell.
Well, and that's 3 consecutive 3-and-outs for the Broncos. The Chiefs defensively coming off of that bye week, giving some different looks, trying to cause some confusion. That time only having 2 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 6 defensive backs in the game. Just trying to cause a numbers problem from a protection standpoint and a coverage standpoint.
Britton Colquitt kicking it away to DeAnthony Thomas. And Thomas across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. Lorente McCray with the tackle. 4:59 to play, first quarter. There's Wade Phillips in his 24th year as a defensive coordinator in the National Football League, and reiterating what you mentioned, Trent, 7 points allowed in the first quarter of 8 games all season long, and then 10 here in the first quarter to the Chiefs. Smith on the move, trying to turn the corner, and is out of bounds. Run out by Sylvester Williams.
And the Chiefs talked to us about matchup issues. Chiefs talked to us about matchup issues with the tight ends. That time having 3 tight ends in the game, trying to take advantage of some of the middle parts of the field and the matchups they have with their athletes at tight end.
You know, talking with Alex Smith about how he goes up against this #1 ranked defense, and he said one of the keys, getting the ball out in a hurry.
They do. The Broncos lead the league in sacks, so he's right with that. You got to get the ball in their hands, but so far he's had good protection.
On second down, pulls it down and then throws, and that's West out of the backfield and out of bounds short of the 40-yard line. Von Miller ran him out.
And we talked about Tarkandrick West, how he's taken over this starting role since Jamal Charles' injury. Now Davis had been the backup a year ago and is currently on the team. He's not active today because they like what Tarkandrick West can do. They feel like he does a lot of the same things that Jamal Charles does. Maybe doesn't have that breakaway track speed, but can do a lot of the things that Jamal Charles does.
Which Niall Davis has. 3rd and 7. Smith, running out of time, has all kinds of running room, midfield, and out of bounds just inside the 45, and a late flag is thrown and back in the Kansas City backfield. And this is going to go against Kansas City.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Offense. Number 75. 15-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
That's Ja Reed, and a costly penalty indeed.
Yeah, he gets called. He gets called. It's going to be Ja Reed right here. And what happens is, as this play continues, he'll end up knocking Jackson to the ground. But then he comes in late. You can see it's Von Miller, actually. He gets Von Miller on the ground, but then late, after it already happens, he dives on top of him, and that's what draws the late flag.
First 8 games of this season, the Kansas City Chiefs with 45 penalties. That tied for fewest in the league. That's their 2nd today. 3rd and long, 21 yards. Throwing it this way, and that is complete to Jeremy Maclin, and Maclin is hit hard. Bradley Roby, number 29.
Well, when you're facing that long of a distance and realizing that the Broncos can bring pressure quickly, Alex Smith, you saw right before the snap, it appeared to be changing the play. Saw the isolation and the one-on-one outside, got the ball out of his hands quick to Maclin, and of course, the Broncos rallied and made the tackle.
We saw Britton Colquitt punting for Denver. Here is his brother, Dustin. Older brother, Dustin. It's a family affair. This is Bolden from his own 15. And back to about the 25-yard line. Frank Zombo making the special teams tackle, and here is the penalty.
Yeah, this is a costly penalty on Ja Reed. Alex Smith takes off, and he ends up getting a 1st down in Broncos territory, but watch how Reed jumps on the back of Von Miller, and that's ultimately what draws the flag. There's no need for that. It's more about a player safety issue than anything.
So now Manning in the offense going to work at the 25-yard line. With Hillman in the backfield. Hillman with the ball. Trying to turn the corner, and that's not going to work. Tamba Hali with the tackle. You played with Tamba Hali, didn't you?
I know there's a few of these guys left that I played with, and Tamba's the kind of guy, he's not a big talker. He's just a hard worker. He works hard in practice. He really sets the tempo for the defense.
Loss of 3 makes it 2nd and 13. Manning throwing this side of the field. Caught! Demarius Thomas with his first catch of the day.
Marcus Peters, you'll see on the outside, he's going to be following up the sideline, and he tries to get a late read and react to it. Thinks he has an easy interception. Watch Demarius just take it away from him. One hand, reach in, pull it away. Peters thought maybe he had a pick 6, and Demarius Thomas with the big catch and big first down conversion.
What a catch by 88. On first down, Manning to throw again. This one complete to the far side of the field, and that is Virgil Green, number 85.
Just as I mentioned a minute ago, the Chiefs thought they had an matchup advantage with the tight ends in the middle of the field. With Vernon Davis now coming to the team, Virgil Green already being here, Owen Daniels being in this system for a long time with Gary Kubiak. Denver feels very confident about their tight ends in the pass game as well.
This is Hillman, and Hillman to midfield. And we have 50 seconds and counting in the first quarter. Tomorrow, Supergirl takes flight in a new episode of the hit drama. That's tomorrow at 8/7 Central, only CBS. Is she allergic to kryptonite too? We are told by the Chiefs that Tyvon Branch, reserve safety, has a foot injury and his return is questionable today. From midfield. On first down, Manning under the gun, escapes the rush, throws, and almost picked off again and again by Marcus Peters.
Marcus Peters leads the team in interceptions. Once again, Peyton a little bit late with the ball. The first interception that happened early in the first quarter, Peyton had to slide his feet to move out of the way of the rush, caused him to be late with the throw. Same exact thing here. Justin Houston gets in, causes pressure. Peyton is delayed with his release because he has to slide to buy time to throw. That gives Peters the reaction time.
Manning on 2nd and 10, and this pass is intercepted. Picked off by Sean Smith. Sean Smith down at about midfield. And once again, Manning is picked.
It appears as if Emmanuel Sanders loses his footing as he's trying to come back to the ball. Either that or Sean Smith climbs over the top of him and just takes the ball away. Sanders here on the top. Smith is over the top of him, and you're going to see on this curl, he tries to come back, and Sean Smith comes right over the top of him and is able to get that interception. Doesn't look like Emmanuel Sanders had very good footing coming out of the cut. He was stumbling a little bit. Sean Smith able to come up with a big interception and put the ball at midfield.
Emmanuel Sanders' ability to take part in this game was in doubt right up until game time. Quick pass. And that is complete to Travis Kelce, and that will bring us to the end of the first quarter. It has been all Kansas City. 10-0 Chiefs. We're back after this. There is a young man who either doesn't know about Peyton Manning or doesn't care, because he's been a nemesis in his rookie season to Peyton Manning, who has had a rough start, to say the least. 4 completions for 9 yards, or out of 9 for 30 yards. Denver, in their first meeting with Kansas City, was +4 in the turnover department. Today, they're -2. This is Charkandrick West, and not very much there as the defense piles in and makes the stop at about the 41-yard line.
Well, and there was some concern for the Broncos coming into this game, as we talked about, with the Chiefs coming off of the bye week, having 2 weeks to prepare and get their game plan set, plus the confidence that they've gained in winning those final 2 games before their bye week.
Spencer Ware has come onto the field on 3rd and short yardage. He is in the backfield with Anthony Sherman. Ware. And Ware close to the first down. Let's see where they spot it. That will not be enough for the first down, at least from here, Trent.
Don't be surprised they go for it here on 4th down. This is right in that gray area between punting, kicking, or going for it on 4th down. I want you to watch the patience, though, of Ware. His decision there to bounce and make the first tackler miss and try and push the pile. I anticipate the same thing here. Try and get the power running game up the middle to pick up the needed, what is it, maybe about 2 feet.
This time it is West with Sherman in the backfield. And straight ahead, and let's see where they mark forward progress. And this time, it looks like he may have it right at the 40-yard line. Once again, the spot is crucial. Andy Reid with a real good look at it on the other side, and we're going to get a measurement.
The run is just going to the left. They're going to follow right behind. They're going to get behind Jeff Allen and Eric Fisher on that left side. You see Sherman was able to, the fullback is able to go low and cut down the end. Trevathan comes up with the hit. After the interception, you have to remember, Greg, after the interception, the ball was right at midfield, right on the 50-yard marker. So if you go by that, considering where the ball is sitting now, it should be a first down.
And it is. You know, we talked to Andy Reid about this yesterday. This just is not the same Kansas City team that we saw earlier in the year when they were 1-5.
Only mentioned 2 things. He mentioned the improvement of the offensive line and a little bit of nastiness by the offensive line. He likes the way that they've gotten more aggressive. And then the other thing is just some maturity. Some of his young players maturing and getting better, and the health of guys, the guys that they came back, you know, Derek Johnson, Eric Berry.
And Gary Kubiak just threw the challenge flag because he's doubtful of the spot that he got.
Well, just to finish that thought real quick after Gene.
Denver is challenging the spot on the field as it relates to a first down. Timeout.
So they'll go back and look at that. We'll get back to what you were talking about. This is the NFL on CBS. Welcome back. Here's Gene Steratore.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Kansas City. Denver will be charged with its first time out of the half. That is also Denver's first challenge of the game.
Easy call, Trent.
This is why it can't be overturned. Danny Trevathan is the linebacker you see right here, and he's going to come up and make contact. Watch him as he approaches the 40-yard line. He's the one that's going to make contact with Charkandrick West. And as you can see, Trevathan gets bounced back to about the 39-yard line. So from the best angle that we could come up with, the official on the far sideline had a bird's eye view of it down the line, down that 40-yard line, and that's why the play wasn't overturned.
Now we have a whistle and a stoppage.
My guess this has something to do with the play clock or the time clock.
Operator, please reset the game clock to 13 minutes 20 seconds. Due to the loss of the challenge, it was a Denver timeout. The clock should not have started on the ready for play. We'll reset the play clock to 25 seconds as well, please. Thank you.
I don't know about you, Greg, but I like how the way Gene describes all that stuff. He explains it all instead of just saying.
Walking and talking, too.
That's right.
I got things to do.
He clears it up. There's no gray area.
So here are the Chiefs. First down at the Denver 40. Alex Smith looks right, goes left, and overthrows his intended receiver, Travis Kelce. And he had him. The NFL Mobile, the official app of the NFL, brings you video highlights, breaking news, live scores, and more. Download today at NFL.com/mobile.
The Chiefs tried getting a double move with Travis Kelce down the left sideline, but give credit to Shaquille Barrett coming off that left edge and not allowing Alex Smith to take the time needed. He had to anticipate throw the ball early, so the pressure is what caused that incompletion.
This is West. And West maybe a yard to the 39. Vance Walker making the stop. And this will be 3rd and 9.
It's important here for the Chiefs to make sure they get a good chunk. Obviously, you'd like to get the first down, but if you settle and you don't get any yards here, if you have an incompletion or no yards gained on a rushing attempt, it's going to be a 57, 58-yard field goal. So it's important to at least get a chunk of yards if indeed you want to try for that long field goal.
Santos with a 51-yarder, 2 51-yarders earlier, but we are at altitude this week. Could add a few to that. 3rd and 9. Smith with time. That pass is complete to Kelsey. That is going to be about a yard short of a first down. Now what does Andy Reid do with 4th and 1?
I think he kicks the field goal this time. I think that this is a more makeable range for Cairo Santos. I think that with Travis Kelsey having to come back for the ball, which was the smart decision to do with the defender right in his face, he had to come back and make sure he secured the catch. But that momentum brought him back behind the sticks.
So good from 48 earlier. Santos will now line this one up from 49. On its way and looking good and dead center. 11:35 to play in the first half. It is all Chiefs so far. 13-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Citizen Echo Drive. Fueled by light, it never needs a battery. Auto Trader, life happens one car search at a time. And by Ameriprise Financial. When you have the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant.
Beautiful day here in Denver. Temperature in the 60s. 11:35 to play in a first half that has been dominated by Kansas City. 13-0. 8 plays to that 19-yard drive in 3.5 minutes. And Santos to kick it away once again to Omar Bolden. And Alex Smith. Pretty close to perfection so far throwing the football. This will not be returned, and it'll come out to the 20-yard line as we welcome you back to Denver. Greg Gumbel along with Trent Green. Certainly one of the things that has been much discussed about this season is Peyton Manning and how inconsistent he has been compared to earlier years in his career. And certainly saw a different Peyton Manning against Green Bay 2 weeks ago, and not quite the same Manning last week against Indianapolis.
Well, I think what you can attribute some of the inconsistencies today is the pressure that the Chiefs have been able to put on Peyton Manning. They only have the 1 sack, but they've been able to get in his face. They get him to slide around in the pocket, that time going down before taking the hit from Derek Johnson.
We talked with Derek Johnson about trying to get close to Peyton Manning yesterday too.
Well, and he mentioned the fact that Peyton gets the ball out of his hands so quickly, it's hard to get sacks against him. He's not sacked very much. Coming into today, only sacked 13 times, and over half of those sacks were in the first 2 ball games. So he understands that Peyton gets rid of the ball quick. He said the important thing is you have to get in his face and disrupt him.
On 2nd and 17, Manning throwing this way and in and out of the arms of his intended receiver, Owen Daniels. Guaranteed, Owen will go back and say that one's on me.
And this is coming right at us. This is an accurate throw. He puts it right where he needs to. Owen Daniels, very sure-handed tight end throughout his career. Doesn't come up with that one. Actually comes up a little bit slow because of the way he landed awkwardly going after the football.
3rd and 17. Had to throw it away under pressure, running along the goal line, and that will be a 3 and out.
Well, they're trying to set up a screen. They're trying to buy time and get outside the pocket, set up that screen, but the Chiefs were all over it, had read it from the beginning. Peyton made the right decision throwing it in the ground.
So now it'll be Britton Colquitt's turn to kick it. And DeAnthony Thomas back at his own 40-yard line. The Chiefs should come out of this with pretty decent field position. Trying to turn the corner. Not going to get there. Lost yardage. And tackled by Corey Nelson. It has been a slow offensive start for the Broncos, to say the least. You see the results of those 5 possessions. They have 29 total yards to Kansas City's 104. And the only thing that Broncos fans have had to cheer about was the 4-yard pass in the first quarter that gave Peyton Manning the all-time mark in passing yardage.
Well, and it's very clear the Chiefs didn't come in here intimidated today. They brought a pretty good mean streak to the start of this ball game.
Bullet complete to Macklin. And Macklin about 2 yards shy of a first down. Tomorrow on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Don't miss Bill Maher, plus Medal of Honor winner Captain Florent Groberg. All new tomorrow only. CBS.
That time Alex Smith being able to look off the underneath coverage and get Macklin on the curl, who actually had the first down when he caught the ball, ran backwards to try and gain more, and ultimately came up short of the sticks.
See what they do on 2nd and 2. They'll give it to West, and West will have the first down out to the 47-yard line. And there is Malik Jackson. We had a chance to chat with Malik yesterday morning. Pleasant young man, which is nice when you run into somebody so big.
Well, and he's had a heck of a season and has really put himself in position to make a Pro Bowl here because of how disruptive he is in the backfield. He talked about this defense and Wade Phillips, what they want the guys to do. It's like, yes, you want to do your job, but you can be a special player if you do your job and a little bit more, and that's what makes this team the #1 defense coming into today.
Not posing as much of a problem to Alex Smith in the Kansas City offense, though. This is West, and he got maybe a yard. And Derek Wolfe on the other side of that defense made the stop that time. Remember, this Denver defense is missing DeMarcus Ware and Aqib Talib. Those are key football players.
Yeah, those are 2 Pro Bowl football players and quality players. And when you talk about Aqib Talib, how much he's on the football field, when you start getting into your three wide receiver looks, 4 wide receiver looks, get into your nickel and dime packages, all of a sudden not having Talib in there, that presents a problem with the depth in the secondary.
On 2nd and 9, Smith back in the shotgun now. And a whistle.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Don't know whether that was a play coming in late or a miscommunication, but Alex was talking about yesterday what a great relationship he has with his rookie center, Mitch Morse.
Yeah, Mitch Morse, it's nice to get a chance to talk with him, understand that he didn't really play much center in college, only a couple games, so coming in here, it was exciting, a good challenge for him. Got some veterans along the offensive line that have helped him through training camp and helped him through the start of the season, but he feels much better going into today's game than he did week 2 going against these same Broncos.
2nd and 13. Trying to set up the screen, and now Smith holds onto it and throws this side of the field. Penalty marker flies as the catch is made on the near side by Demetrius Harris.
Well, and that's going to be a legal man downfield. Anytime you have a screen pass and you're not able to complete it, ultimately an offensive lineman gets upfield, and it appears that's what it's going to be called.
Ineligible man downfield offense. Number 76. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 2nd down.
That's Larry Duvernay-Tardif.
You're going to see they're setting up the screen. Duvernay-Tardif is at right guard, so he's on this right, the bottom part of the screen. There's a clock in their head where they count, okay, 1001, 1002, we're going to get out. Now all of a sudden, here he is, and as Alex is rolling out, watch how he drifts upfield, and that's who they're going to get called. That's not the fault of the lineman. They're anticipating screen. It's just It's one of those things, Greg. When that screen breaks down, there's not a lot of places to go.
I think they had someone further down the field. 2nd and 18. Smith pulls it down, throws over the middle, and that's complete to Kelsey. And Kelsey to the 45-yard line. Let's go down to Jamie.
Well, Greg, you guys mentioned Mitch Morse. Tough enough to come in as a rookie in the NFL and learn a new position, but Alex Smith said he did just fine. The hardest part of that is having the confidence to call the play at the line as a rookie. Morse told us that sometimes during preseason he couldn't find the trash can soon enough when he got to the sideline, but he's obviously doing just fine as he progresses through his rookie season.
That kind of makes the point when you're young in the National Football League, doesn't it? That's Jamie. 3rd and 12. Smith on the move, going to keep it and slide down at midfield. That'll be about 7 yards short of a first down.
Good coverage downfield. Alex Smith was trying to take a shot. He had a deep receiver down the left. It was double covered, nowhere to go, just scrambled out. Smart decision just to take off and slide. Dustin Colquitt, the punter for the Chiefs, is very good at dropping it inside the 10. Broncos have to get something going, though, offensively, Greg.
Dustin Colquitt, his brother Britton, kicks for the Broncos. Their dad, Craig, 2 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar Bolden is deep. And he'll make the fair catch call and let it bounce. And he dropped it in there, just as you said, Trent. That ball down at the 10-yard line. 6:02 to play in the first half. Chiefs by 13.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly. And by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Welcome back to Denver. If you weren't with us earlier, this is when Peyton Manning set the all-time record for passing yardage with that 4-yard completion to Ronnie Hillman. He now has 71,866. A little acknowledgement from the rookie cornerback Marcus Peters. That was very nice. This is Hillman. Hillman squeezing through and across the 20. And a first down. Eric Berry coming up with the stop. Peyton Manning. Well, you remember the conversation they had on the NFL Today this morning? The guys talking about greatest of all time. I don't know if you ever can determine that, especially in a team sport. But the same names keep popping up all the time, and Peyton Manning is always going to be in the conversation.
Well, it's just important to be in the conversation, and I think that's an accomplishment in itself when you start talking about the greats all time.
Hillman. That'll be little or no gain. Derek Johnson with the tackle.
Denver trying to get something going offensively for their first 5 drives, ending in 3 and outs. Getting a big rush on first down to pick up another first down, and then trying to get the running game going a little bit here with the first 2 plays. Need to get Peyton Manning in a rhythm, as right now he's sitting at 4 of 11.
C.J. Anderson is in the backfield. Takes on a blitzer, and the pass is intercepted. Picked off by Josh Maga, and Maga out of bounds inside the 25-yard line. Manning came into this game leading the NFL in interceptions thrown with 13. He has added 3 today.
Well, and Peyton Manning gets fooled. Maga on the backside here is going to float back into this area, and he's the one that's going to get the interception, trying to get Demaryius Thomas on that in cut at about 15 yards, and Maga floats right into where Manning is trying to throw the ball and comes up with the 3rd interception of the day of Peyton Manning.
And you know, we always talk about it, Trent, you had just mentioned about the importance of Manning getting into some rhythm. It seems that we've always talked about other quarterbacks having to do that, but not Peyton.
You know, you generally talk about young quarterbacks trying to get into a rhythm, especially early in the game. But even for a guy like Peyton Manning, with all this stuff going on about the records and everything else, it's important for him to get into a rhythm as well.
From the 24-yard line, Charkandrick West to the 21. Clock continues to move. 4:40. Now Manning skipped practice on Wednesday and was limited in practice on Thursday and Friday with a foot injury that's been bothering him for a couple of weeks, and then it was revealed he's also suffering sore ribs.
Yeah, at this stage of his career and at this stage of the season, there's going to be things that are bothering you, and I don't want to put an excuse. I know he wouldn't want to put an excuse on it for what's transpired here today, other than the Chiefs are playing some great defense.
Broncos disrupted that screen in the middle. Sylvester Williams with the pass intended for West, and it'll be 3rd and 7. Meanwhile, in the AFC West, these Denver Broncos were sailing along at 7-0 until they were beaten at Indianapolis last week. Kansas City started 1-5, have won their last 2, and looking to close the gap with a win here.
Well, and I mentioned earlier about Derek Johnson saying this is a playoff game for the Chiefs, and they're trying to get back in the wild card hunt, and this is an important game for them today in trying to catch the rest of the field.
Smith rolling, throwing. Cat on the sideline. Let's see if they make it a catch. They do at the 16-yard line. But that is still going to be a couple of yards shy of a first down. DeAnthony Thomas.
He has control of the ball, finishes the catch to the ground. Both feet are in bounds. You see that back toe drag before that left knee hits the ground. There's no movement in the ball as he goes to the ground, and Andy Reid's going to take the points instead of going for it on 4th and short.
Cairo Santos, the field goal kicker. And this one will be from 34 yards out. We saw him teeing it up from 63, 64 yards out in pregame. And Santos is good once again. 13 points off turnovers, 16-0 Chiefs. Hey, Chiefs running back Jamal Charles, who's out for the season, went back home to Port Arthur High School in Texas last Friday to have his jersey retired. Charles, who has always kept a close connection to the community, was the focal point of the town's homecoming roast back in June when he returned home to host his annual football camp. Well, Mitch Morris was telling me about how magical it felt as a rookie to walk into a locker room and see Jamal Charles, to see someone that you grew up watching play the game and admired.
Yeah, he did. It was, he was brutally honest with us. As Jamie just reported, he mentioned getting sick and finding a garbage can on the sideline. They talked about going in the locker room and even facing, other opponents or going into stadiums where, he's an NFL fan. He's a football fan, so getting an opportunity to go into some of these stadiums on the road, it's trying to keep it all under control.
And Santos will not give Bolden a chance to run this one back. The touchback will bring it out to the 20-yard line. Saturday, the SEC on CBS brings you the best game from the best conference. It's a huge SEC West showdown. 9th-ranked LSU visits Ole Miss, and it all begins Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern with college football today right here on CBS Sports. So now, once again, the focus goes to number 18, Peyton Manning, who has definitely been subpar today, to say the least.
Well, he's had some inconsistencies, and give credit to the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs getting pressure in Manning's face, making him slide, not being able to throw with much timing.
Team number 49. 5-yard penalty is added to the touchback spot. First down, Denver.
So Gene Steratore explains why we're getting started at the 25 instead of the 20-yard line. Daniel Sorensen was offside on the kick.
We talked last series about getting Peyton Manning into some kind of rhythm. Really, it's the whole offense getting into a rhythm. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do more up-tempo, no huddle, just trying to get something going offensively.
Manning, no pressure this time, and that pass is overthrown and complete. Demaryius Thomas, the intended receiver. Take a look at the numbers for Peyton in 2012 and 13 and 14, and take a look, 9 total touchdown passes here in 2015.
Well, there's lots of factors that go into it. Obviously, Peyton Manning, it's no, I don't think we're pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. He's 39 years old. He's played 18 years in the league. He's dealt with a lot of things in the league, but he's also dealing with a new offense, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, understanding they've gone on their third, sometimes fourth offensive tackles that have dealt with injuries. So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Penalty marker falls as the pass is complete to Ronnie Hillman in the flat, and Hussein Abdullah was there for the tackle. Let's see what the flag is all about.
Offside. Defense, number 96, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
That's Jay Howard, and that's a big, big favor to the Denver offense.
Well, for an offense that's really struggling getting anything going, you don't want to help them at all defensively, and giving them any kind of breath of fresh air allows them some separation from their own goal line.
2nd and 5. 3:05 to play in the first half.
Bomber! Omaha!
Manning, nobody there.
You're going to see Abdullah, 39, come right up the middle as Hillman steps up to try and make that block, or is it Anderson, C.J. Anderson, trying to step up and make the block? Throwing the late flag, they're going to call intentional grounding because nobody was there and Manning was still in the pocket.
Offense, number 18, 10-yard penalty, loss of down, 3rd down.
Clearly there was a misread somewhere. Manning expected someone to be there.
Well, miscommunication. If you go to the all-22 here, he looks like he's going to do a corner route, or that's what Peyton thinks, and he ends up going to the inside. So since there's no time to make this throw, he's got to get rid of the ball. He's anticipating the out route. You see Peyton at the end of that play slam the ground in disgust.
Now 3rd and 15. Manning pump fakes, going deep, far sideline, incomplete. Intended for Emmanuel Sanders, well covered by the rookie Marcus Peters.
Peyton Manning has been sacked twice on the day, but he's been constantly under pressure. Here once again, not having a lot of time as Tamba Hali comes off on the twist to the inside. For someone dealing with some sore ribs and a sore foot, this isn't going to feel good, especially driving, getting driven into the ground like that by Hali.
And we'll get a timeout called by Denver here. That will leave them with 1 here in the first half, 2:46 to play. Record-setting Peyton Manning, a troubled and inconsistent Peyton Manning here in the first half. On the sideline, DeAnthony Thomas is deep for the kick. Far side of the field, they will let that one fly out of bounds. With 2:38 to play, the Chiefs with the ball in all 3 of their timeouts remaining. A reminder, tonight, Week 10 continues with Sunday Night Football on NBC, and tomorrow with Monday Night Football on ESPN. Then Week 11 kicks off with Thursday Night Football on NFL Network. This is a pretty stark contrast in quarterbacks because Alex Smith, obviously brimming with confidence and throwing the ball extremely well today against the top defense in the NFL.
Well, and he's playing very efficient. 10 of 12 for 89 yards, no interceptions, no touchdowns, but he's being very efficient, and that's what Alex Smith is. He doesn't want to turn the ball over. Now he came into the game 197 straight attempts without an interception. He's being smart with the football, and the defense is playing well and giving this offense good field position.
Chiefs with all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Smith throwing far side and bobbled and incomplete. West couldn't get a handle on it. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, and there's different ways you play the position of quarterback. If you're falling behind and you've got to make some plays, then you start taking more chances and push the ball up the field. If your defense is playing well, you're getting good field position, your running game is intact. You know, going against this defense, as you mentioned, Greg, the #1 defense in the league, and right now this doesn't sound like a lot, but the Chiefs have 47 yards rushing, which teams don't do against Denver. So if you can have some balance and provide that for Alex Smith, it really is a great game plan to have.
Spencer Ware in the backfield alongside Smith now on 2nd down and 10. Quick pass to this side of the field. That's Macklin. And Macklin to about the 45. And a timeout stops the clock at 2:25 to play. Just a reminder for you, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. JB and the guys back in New York with the latest NFL scores and highlights and analysis of today's games, all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. And boy, there's lots to talk about from today's games.
Well, and we touched a minute ago about the wild card race and the teams in the middle of the pack. You know, you look at the AFC and you have New England and Cincinnati that have kind of separated themselves, and Denver was in that race, but after losing last week and now struggling today, you're talking about those teams in the middle of the pack, and more shakeup again today, and the Chiefs are trying to sneak into position where they can be part of that argument.
Third and 4. So unless the Chiefs convert here, Manning is looking at getting his hands on the football again before halftime. Smith throwing, Kelsey complete, first down to the 46. And the Chiefs will take this down to the 2-minute warning. Leading by 16, looking for some points to add to that before halftime. Just a reminder, the Verizon halftime report coming your way. JB and the guys back in New York with scores, highlights, and analysis of today's game, all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. Meanwhile, Peyton Manning struggling here in the first half. Alex Smith with 3 timeouts and 2 minutes on the clock and a chance to get more points on the board before they head to the locker room. On first down, quick pass to this side, Anthony Thomas. And Thomas is wrestled down inside the 45 at about the 44.
Well, once again, it's about getting the ball out of your hands quickly. That's what they're doing with Alex Smith. He really hasn't pushed the ball downfield. Majority of his throws have been right at the line of scrimmage, picking up big yardage with the bubble screen or the wide receiver screen. He has hit Kelsey over the middle a couple times, but majority of his throws have been safe and to the outside.
On 2nd and 7. As the clock reaches a minute 20. Going to hand it off to West. And West right up the middle inside the 40. TJ Ward making the tackle at about the 36. And they continue to let the clock run. Now they call timeout. Chiefs stop the clock with 1:08 remaining, and they have 2 timeouts remaining. Well, Broncos defensive end Malik Jackson, we've talked about him, works as a spokesperson for Helping Hands with Freedom, an organization that helps military families deal with death, injury, or deployment. Jackson trying to raise $700,000 for military families by encouraging the Lucky 7 for Kids campaign. And in honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $1,000 to its nonprofit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. Military well represented out here in Denver this afternoon. 3rd and 1. Smith going to keep it as the first down and more, and he's out of bounds at the 25-yard line.
Alex Smith just reading the outside linebacker here. This is who he's going to read. It's Shaq Barrett coming off the edge. That's where his eyes are going to take him. As soon as he takes that one bounce to the inside, Alex Smith keeps it, gets around the edge, able to pick up the first down, get out of bounds, and save the timeouts.
So 2 timeouts remaining and 62 seconds on the clock.
Still plenty of time to work the middle of the field. You can utilize all parts of the field here. You're not limited to just the boundary. Already in field goal range, so don't be too risky with your decisions.
Smith going to go for the end zone. All alone, and he couldn't bring it in. That intended for Albert Wilson. And it looked like the Denver defense really misread that.
Yeah, it was just a double move on Albert Wilson's part. Watch, he's going to come in here. He's going to make it a double move. He's going to freeze the corner. Webster with that double move. He gets his back turned around. What I don't understand is Wilson goes up with the one hand. Try to get that other hand up there. Get both hands on the ball. Yeah, you may have to twist around and may not land exactly the way you want. Another problem could have been just locating it because it looked like he got that one hand up late.
2nd and 10. Smith again. Down the far sideline. Penalty marker is down. That's incomplete. There's a flag at the 12-yard line.
I think Macklin on a double move. They're going to get the Broncos for a hold.
See what Gene Steratore has to say.
There are fouls by both teams on the play. Legal use of hands to the face. Defense number 36. Holding offense number 84. Those penalties offset. We replay 2nd down.
So Kayvon Webster, the cornerback for Denver, guilty. And number 84 on offense is Demetrius Harris.
Watch right here. This is where the hands to the face is going to take place. There's that right hand up in Macklin's face going down the sideline, and here's the penalty on Demetrius Harris.
So it's 2nd and 10 with 50 seconds to play. Smith on the slant. This is Wilson, and Wilson to the 10. And timeout is called. Kansas City uses its 2nd timeout to stop the clock at 43 seconds.
Well, and this is the attention that Travis Kelce brings to the field. The defense is concerned with where he is. You get Wilson matched up on the outside against Roby. Kelce was on the inside slot running a slant. More concerned with him. They had Chris Harris Jr. on him. That cleared it out for Wilson to be able to beat Roby to the inside.
I don't know about you, Trent. I'm really impressed with this Kansas City team here today so far.
Everything's been very efficient. I mean, you can't say enough about the defense. The Broncos are sitting at 40 yards of offense. That's unbelievable to come in here and hold the Broncos at home to 40 yards of offense. And the offense for the Chiefs right at 188. They've taken advantage of the field position they've gotten, the turnovers the defense has provided them. And you can see the frustration that was on Wade Phillips' face there.
First and goal from just inside the 10-yard line. Smith outside, and DeAnthony Thomas with no room. Lost 5, back to the 15-yard line. Clock continues to move.
Well, and the Chiefs are hustling people on the field. They know they want to save that one timeout. Trying to change personnel. Right now, nobody covering Kelce at the top of the screen. Go ahead and make a jump ball in the end zone if you feel confident with it.
Alex Smith going to throw it away. Stop the clock. 9 seconds to play. Got time for one more before field goal attempt.
The problem with, as we take a look at the quarterback comparison here in the first half, you see the efficiency that Alex Smith has shown and the struggles that Peyton Manning has had. But here's the problem, Greg. If you throw the ball in the field of play and you try and extend the play, then you could ultimately run the clock out. You got to make sure your receivers are aware, and hopefully from a Chiefs standpoint, that's what Alex Smith is reminding your guys. Listen, don't fight for those extra yards. If you can't get it, make sure you go down. We have time to call the timeout.
3rd and goal. Smith going for the end zone, incomplete. Wasn't there, he threw it away. Albert Wilson, the intended receiver, covered by Chris Harris. And here comes Santos.
Another smart choice by Alex Smith, just decided to throw the ball away. Barrett bringing pressure from his backside, his left side, and being able to step up in the pocket and throw it away. Even though they've had to settle now, Cairo Santos is coming up on his 4th field goal.
Yeah, talk about efficient today. He's 3 out of 3. This one from 33 yards. And again, it is perfect. And that does it for a first half that began with all kinds of expectations for Peyton Manning. And instead, it was all about the Kansas City Chiefs, who lead it big. We're back with the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 50.
There's the record for Peyton Manning.
And there's the record, another one. And it's said and done, he may have them all.
The most touchdown passes in the history of the National Football League.
That is a 4-yard pickup and a brand new record. 71,840 yards.
Congratulations, Peyton Manning, on your historic achievement.
And welcome back to Denver, everyone, where Chiefs lead the Broncos by a score of 19-0. And all of those historic moments for Peyton Manning. There was one earlier, but it hasn't been much of a first half for Peyton Manning at all. Time for Who Are You Lovin', presented by McDonald's Game Time Gold. And Peyton Manning was intercepted 3 times in the first half. That one by Marcus Peters, who intercepted him the first time these teams met back in week 2. That's kind of been the way things have gone for Manning. Greg Gumbel along with Trent Green. What do you expect Peyton Manning has done at halftime?
Well, I think they're going to have to make some changes. When you look at what the Chiefs have been able to do defensively, they've been able to put consistent pressure on Peyton Manning. They've gotten in his face. They've made him slide off of that spot, and that's where the interceptions have come from. Or when he's moving, he's late with his throws, allowing the defensive backs to get those interceptions. And, you know, it's an understanding of what they're trying to do, and the defense is playing very well. And that's really the key to the second half is what can the Broncos do to get things going offensively? I think they need to get the ball out of Peyton Manning's hands quicker. And defensively for Kansas City, they need to continue putting the pressure on.
Onside kick to start this second half. And the Chiefs recovered it. Let's go down to Jamie.
Greg, Gary Kubiak told me the thing that the Denver Broncos need to do this half is play their best half of football, because he called that their worst half of football this season. I asked him if he considered making a change at the quarterback position. He said not at this time. So the Broncos aren't helping Peyton Manning out at all. The defense is battling, but all around, Broncos need to improve in every facet of the game.
Yeah, I think, Jamie, thank you, that we'd all be a little surprised if Gary Kubiak was considering that on Peyton Manning at this stage.
Yeah, you have to have some concern moving forward, but I don't think at this stage you're ready to do it. You have to remember the first matchup these teams played in week number 2, Peyton didn't play well for 3 quarters, and then he came to life in the 4th quarter and led him back to a victory. So I think it's a hard time on this day when he set such a historic record to all of a sudden decide to replace him at halftime.
And here is a ball down the near side of the field, and it's incomplete. So the Denver Broncos trying to get something jump-started in a hurry here in the second half with the onside kick. It didn't work, and now Kansas City is presented with terrific field goal position, or field position, rather. This is the way the second half began, and Daniel Sorensen is the one who covered it for the Chiefs.
You know, for a team that's had struggles, that was a boost they were trying to catch the Chiefs by surprise, and the Chiefs were ready for it, and Sorensen was able to make the recovery.
On 2nd and 10, the give is to Sharkendrick West. And right now it's looking like a fired-up Denver defense. Very little gain.
Well, they got to find some sparks somewhere, Greg, and they were just flat in that first half. Kansas City just moving the ball at will. They did get great field position because of those turnovers, but over 180 yards of offense in that first half for the Chiefs, and that's really, you know, the number 1 rated defense. If you want to get the offense going, the defense has got to come up with some plays, get them some field position, and as you mentioned, they're trying to make that happen.
And Denver with not a single offensive play in enemy territory. 3rd and 9. Smith off the hand of the intended receiver Travis Kelce.
And that's why you take the chance of doing a surprise onside kick at the beginning of the half, is because you have that confidence in your defense to be able to force the punt.
A look at Kansas City's first half possessions. Only 2 punts. So here is Dustin Colquitt set to kick it away to Omar Bolden, who is back at his 10-yard line. Gonna let it bounce. Hit the 5, and it bounces back and down inside the 10-yard line. More terrific special teams work from the Kansas City Chiefs. So here comes Peyton Manning, who was picked not once, not twice, 3 times in the first half, Trent.
Well, the first one he was sliding over to his right because Justin Houston's pressure. He tried getting the ball up the field to Vernon Davis, and Marcus Peters came up with a pick. The second one, Emmanuel Sanders stumbles coming out of the cut. Sean Smith comes over the top and getting. The third one is all Peyton Manning's fault. He's staring down that dig route from the right side. Josh Maga floats over to the middle, is able to jump up and get the interception. So this is a combination of problems for the Broncos. They need to get something going here to start the second half.
They start from their own 9. Manning out here in the flat to Hillman. Hillman to the 14. A pickup of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5. Manning looking the other way this time and going down the far side of the field, incomplete. Intended for Demaryius Thomas.
Well, and that's the matchup Demaryius Thomas thought he was going to get today, as with Sean Smith didn't play in the first game against the Chiefs because of the suspension he was serving. Sean Smith being a big corner, Demaryius being a big receiver. They've had their battles over the years. That was a very accurate throw up the field. Tough catch, but big bodies bouncing each other down that left sideline.
3rd and 5 now.
Heat! 65 heat! 65 heat!
Chiefs have nobody back in the middle of the field. They have 7 defenders right at the line of scrimmage.
Manning had to get rid of it and throws it, and it's incomplete. Ronnie Hillman out of the backfield, and Manning under tremendous pressure to get rid of the football in the end zone.
Well, and that's the risk reward you take as a defensive coordinator. Bob Sutton decides to put all the bodies up at the line of scrimmage. There's nobody deep, so when you run a wheel route on the outside here at the bottom of the screen, you see Hillman on that wheel route, but just not enough time for Peyton Manning to set his feet and make an accurate throw up the field. But that's that risk reward part of it, Greg. If you get there in time and you force a bad throw, that's good, but if that ends up being complete, there's nobody back there and ends up being a long touchdown.
Anthony Thomas, fair catch called for. Contact made as the ball comes free. Penalty markers fly. And it looked like maybe Omar Bolden, number 31, is the one who made contact. There are 2 flags down on the field.
I think ultimately the Chiefs ended up recovering it. So it depends on where you mark the penalty from.
Well, there is an official standing at the 44.
We have a personal foul. Fair catch interference. Kicking team. It's a 15-yard spot foul. 1st down, Kansas City. Timeout.
So Omar Bolden is the guilty party, as DeAnthony Thomas, after he was being held, then he made contact. 15 yards going the other way. 13-17 to play in the 3rd quarter here in Denver, and terrific starting position for the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver 41. 4th drive in 9 possessions. They've started in Denver territory under pressure. He got rid of it, and it's incomplete. Smith hit hard. Von Miller, Shane Ray applying the pressure. Aqib Talib not on the field because of that poke in the eye. Called for unsportsmanlike conduct, poking Dwayne Allen of the Colts in the eye, and he's serving a 1-game suspension because of that infraction, and that is Bradley Roby, who is replacing him in the starting lineup today. On 2nd and 10, Sharkandrick West twisting to the 40. Then it'll be 3rd and 9.
Really putting the defense in a tough spot here to come out in the second half after the onside kick attempt to start things off. They get the 3 and out, force the Chiefs to punt. see DeMarcus wearing a Keep Talib there. A couple key components missing for this Denver defense. And now after the penalty on the punt return, Chiefs set up in good field position, but not able to make things work on first or second down. So this defense has responded so far here in the second half.
Where the Broncos need to make a tough defensive stand. 3rd and 9. Smith, under pressure, had to get rid of it. Incomplete. And we have a marker down. This is going to be against Denver.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 36, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Wow, that's a killer. That's a killer. The call goes against Kayvon Webster.
This is the call. It's away from where Alex Smith was looking to throw. You see Wilson just trying to make an outcut, and Webster grabbing him up around the shoulder pads and getting the twist. They're going to call that every time once you get a handful.
There's a school of thought, isn't there, that if it's on the other side of the field away from the ball, it really should be a non-call.
But that's pretty flagrant. I think that draws the attention of the official.
Inside the 35 to the 34, maybe the 33. I think the consistency of the Chiefs has been remarkable today, and there's nowhere, the Broncos have come nowhere near matching it.
Well, and that's what we talked to the Chiefs about when we said the frustration of the first game, and they said the thing about that was frustrating is our lack of production in the red zone, too many penalties, and ultimately the turnovers. They had 5 turnovers, and they've done a good job of protecting the football today.
This is West to about the 32. This was their week 2 meeting. 5 Kansas City turnovers.
That was a huge factor for the Chiefs. A couple of those turnovers happening down in the red zone when they were in scoring position. Ultimately, not getting touchdowns or field goals out of it because of those turnovers. So they've been smart with the football when they've been down in the Broncos end of the field today.
And another big defensive down for the Denver defense. That is incomplete. And that time they got more pressure courtesy of Von Miller on Alex Smith.
Von Miller comes off the right edge. He's able to get around Ja Reed. See him, he's going to work in here. Alex Smith feeling the pressure. Tries to drift a little bit to the left to buy some time. He's able to get rid of it before that contact, but because of the pressure, he had to get rid of it sooner than he wanted, had to unload the ball. Not able to be accurate up the field to Kelsey.
So this is Santos, and this is from 50 yards out. He has been 4 for 4 on field goals today. And that one is good with plenty to spare. That would have been good from 60. 10:45 to play in the third. Put 3 more on the board for a Chiefs team that leads 22-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. McDonald's, teaming up with the NFL like never before. And by Creed, this Thanksgiving, fight for your name.
Boy, look at that view of I-70 from Genesee Park. Welcome back. 10:45 to play in the third. 22-0 Kansas City, and the Chiefs. Boy, talk about ownership of the football so far this afternoon.
They've been controlling the football. The Broncos haven't been able to do anything offensively, and give credit to the Kansas City defense for that.
And Omar Bolden will not bring this one out of the end zone. The touchback means they'll start once again at the 20-yard line. Next Sunday, NFL on CBS spotlights regional action in one matchup. The Broncos visit the Bears. The Jets take on the Houston Texans. The Colts will be in Atlanta against the Falcons, and the Chiefs are up against the Chargers. It all begins with the team that takes you all the way to Super Bowl 50. JB and the guys on the NFL Today. Well, Kansas City has had a distinct advantage in field position so far this afternoon, haven't they?
Well, and that explains why the score is the way it is. And you just give Denver's defense some credit for holding them to so many field goals.
C.J. Anderson with 4 on the ground out to the 24, and Justin Houston with the tackle.
This is what I was looking for in terms of tempo, getting up to the line of scrimmage, just trying to change things up a little bit. The Broncos haven't been able to get anything going offensively, and just trying to change the tempo.
Hurry up is a hallmark of a Peyton Manning offense.
Omaha!
Jumping on the line. Let's see who they blame. It's going to be offsides against Kansas City.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 92. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Dontari Poe is guilty.
Well, and you hear the crowd's reaction. They're just excited to see the ball moving at all. That's, they've been struggling to get yards today. Only 40 in the first half and only 9 here in the second half. So that 5-yard penalty is a lot.
Anderson trying to spin loose and can't get out of the grasp of Justin Houston. And we have a penalty flag down again.
I think they're going to get Denver on a holding call here. Not real hard to guess. It's Gene signaling holding.
Holding. Offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
That's Max Garcia. And by the way, for the Chiefs, Tyvon Branch, a safety, is gone with a foot injury for the rest of the day. And you look at the Broncos' possessions, this is just unnatural. We're just not used to seeing this.
It's really incredible when you think of a Peyton Manning offense and the production and the yards and the things he's been able to do throughout his career. To see that many plays in that few yards, it's pretty astonishing. And like I said, give credit to Bob Sutton and the Kansas City defense, what they've been able to do today.
On 2nd and 11, Manning on the move, throwing this side, and that is complete. Caught by Emmanuel Sanders, and no, now he's lost the ball, it's incomplete. And Sanders still on the turf. Sanders went up between players, appeared to make the catch right there, but then it came out as he was hit, and he was hit hard.
Yeah, Sorensen was on the underneath coverage there on Owen Daniels. He goes back and is able to knock the ball loose. Here comes Daniel Sorensen on the hit. You can see he goes with the shoulder. It gets below the head and neck area, so that's why the penalty isn't called for. The sideline was looking for a hit on a defenseless player, but that was a good clean hit, able to knock the ball loose.
It leaves Manning and the Broncos with a 3rd and 11. Manning steps up, going deep down this sideline. It is intercepted once again by Kansas City. It is a good catch at the 49, now ruled incomplete. First official said yes, second official said no. And Ron Parker wanted that one badly.
Well, the only thing I could think of is he landed out of bounds. It doesn't look like he bobbles the ball. Oh, I bet the Chiefs could challenge that. And there comes the flag.
Challenge flag
He initially moves it, and then he secures it. And when that elbow hits the ground, and his backside hits the ground, the ball's secured. So the key, though, is it was ruled incomplete on the field. Is it going to be enough to overturn it? I think there's enough there to overturn it, but I've been wrong quite a bit lately.
Kansas City is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass. Timeout.
So Gene Steratore and the officials will take a look at this one, and we'll take a break.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by National Car Rental. Go National. Go like a pro. And by Papa John's, official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Gene Steratore is ready with his decision.
After review, the ruling on the field has changed. The defender maintained possession, landed with the body part inbounds with control of the football. It is an interception. The ball will be 1st and 10. Kansas City on the Kansas City 49-yard line. Pass mark nearest Denver's bench. Kansas City has not charged a timeout.
Our officiating expert, Mike Carey, standing by in New York. Mike, what'd you see?
Yeah, I agree with this. Here's why this is tough. There are a number of things the referee and the officials have to process. First, was it pass interference? Did he have a clean catch? You see the bobble, then he gets control. The left elbow glances inbound right before everything hits out of bounds. In a split second, you need to make all those decisions. That's why we have replay.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. So it's the 4th interception of the day for Peyton Manning. And once again, they take over at midfield, and let's go down to Jamie.
Greg, keep in mind on the play before the interception, Emmanuel Sanders took a pretty hard hit. He was awake and talking to the athletic trainers, but he did go back to the locker room, and he is being evaluated for a concussion right now.
All right, thank you, Jamie. That is the play that cost, in all likelihood, Emmanuel Sanders the rest of this game. Meanwhile, more good field position for this Kansas City offense. On 2nd and 10, Smith up the middle, now throws and had it tipped incomplete. That looked like the potential for a big gainer because Jason Avant was open right in the middle of the field.
Right as Alex had slid up into the pocket and trying to step up there, Trevathan's the one that jumps up, is able to get a hand on it. If he hits Avant on the run across the field, there's nobody in the middle of the field, and he's able to get a big gain out of that. So very nice play there by Danny Trevathan in the middle.
4 interceptions, the most for Peyton Manning in a long time. A little positive reinforcement from Brock Osweiler, his backup. 3rd and 10. Smith, all kinds of running room. Has the first down and out of bounds at the 34-yard line of the Denver Broncos.
Alex Smith, once again, being smart with the football, understanding the position of the field he's in, realizing that the pressure's up the field, don't take any risks with the football, eliminate the turnover, secure the football, and able to pick up the first down.
You know, we aren't the first ones that have said it, Trent, but you cannot turn the ball over at the rate that the Denver Broncos have this afternoon and expect to win a game.
Well, and just flip it. We just showed the stat of what happened in the first game when the Chiefs had 5 turnovers and the Broncos only had 1. Ultimately, Denver ended up winning that football game. So turnovers are a huge factor, and they are again here today.
West on first down. And that'll be basically a no gain. Maybe a yard on the play, depending on the spot. Clock continues to move, 7:50 to play here in the 3rd.
Chiefs are taking their time, being very methodical in and out of the huddle. We're still here in the middle of the 3rd quarter, but they've got control of this football game. And Cairo Santos has been perfect on field goals today.
So they haven't been coming away empty-handed on their drive on offense. 2nd and 9. Smith pulls it down, and then incomplete. DeAnthony Thomas, the intended receiver. It'll be 3rd and 9.
Probably about the 5th or 6th time they went back to that play. That time Denver was all over it. They tried doing some quick misdirection and get it to the outside. 3rd down here. With the way this game is going, the control of the game, especially the way your defense is playing, you don't have to be real risky up the field. Take what the defense gives you. I know it sounds very conservative, very cliche, but there's no reason for that big risky throw here. Could almost even go a screen or a draw if you're not going to go just a quick throw to the outside.
Alex Smith has thrown 8 straight incomplete passes. Under pressure, and he goes down back at the 43, and that's Von Miller.
Miller is coming off the edge here. He's working to the outside here. Alex Smith doesn't see it as he's looking out to his right.
And it would have been a long field goal attempt.
Well, it's one that they can make. Now, from where the ball is, a 42-yard line, it's a 60-yard field goal. We've seen Cairo Santos on his field goal attempts make that. There's no reason to risk it right now, though. So that's why you punt it. You keep control of the field position.
And this one will bounce out of bounds, and again, another terrific punt. Let's see where the spot is. At the 9-yard line, and when we return, looks like Brock Osweiler will step in at the quarterback position for the Denver Broncos. In the middle of that huddle, number 17, Brock Osweiler, the fourth-year quarterback from Arizona State, as Peyton Manning looks on from the sideline. After he set the record, it has been a frustrating afternoon for the future Hall of Famer. Osweiler complete out to the 15-yard line to Demarius Thomas.
And that's a smart play. Get him his first play in there. Give him a nice quick throw. Get the ball out of your hands quickly.
And Jamie Erdahl has confirmed from the sideline for us that there is no injury to Peyton Manning that has pulled him from this game. It is Coach Gary Kubiak's decision. Hillman spinning out of trouble and then gets hit hard by Josh Malga.
Peyton Manning's day today. He gets the record, becomes the all-time leading passer in NFL history. They stopped the game to acknowledge it. There's an interception by Josh Malga. They're under pressure all day, was never allowed to get comfortable in the pocket, ultimately ended up with 4 interceptions in 2.5 quarters of play.
So he watches from the sideline and does a little coaching on 3rd and 2.
Look, it's a hot! Taylor! 39's Mike! Omaha!
Osweiler almost intercepted on the far side of the field by Sean Smith. Do you like Gary Kubiak's decision at this point in the game, Trent?
You know, I thought they would wait until the start of the 4th quarter. I thought they would have, you know, even though Peyton's had his struggles, if this had to continue struggling, I was going to bring that up, that maybe in the 4th quarter starting to do it. They decided to jump on it earlier. They really haven't done anything offensively. 40 yards in the first half, 17 so far in the 3rd quarter. So it's the right move. Go ahead and make it happen. It's not a great day for Peyton Manning in terms of setting a record and then the 4 interceptions and being yanked from a game, a healthy yank from the game. So it's one that he's going to be very frustrated about, but get Brock Osweiler in there and see if you can't get him some work.
This ball will settle down at about the 37, maybe the 38-yard line, and that's where Kansas City will get things started. Tonight, Scott Pelley reports from Paris on the terrorist attacks, plus how the NFL is changing the game to better protect the players on 60 Minutes tonight.
You know, the fact remains it's still a 3-possession game, so it's not like this is completely out of hand. There's still time. We've seen plenty of teams score 3 touchdowns in a quarter, so the Chiefs have to continue doing what they're doing, not be risky with the football and not give a short field to Denver. Denver's had to work the full length of the field. We just showed a little bit ago the starting point for both these teams that they've, on average, that they've had all day, and you've got to make them work the length of the field, especially with an inexperienced quarterback.
Alex Smith. And out of the backfield is West. And West is out of bounds at about the 44. It'll be 2nd and 2. And 5:01 to play. You know, Gary Kubiak had to be wondering, well, with the way this Kansas City offense has been operating, just how many more possessions would he get?
Yeah, how many more chances are you going to have? I mean, you really can't say that the Denver defense is playing poorly. Kansas City's sitting at 204 yards right now, so it's not like they're moving up and down the field. It's just been the field position. Because of the turnovers, because of the special teams play and some penalties, Kansas City's benefited from great field position.
That pass batted down by Shaquille Barrett. It'll be 3rd and 2. Denver has possessed the ball 12 minutes and 16 seconds today, compared to 27-13.
Shaquille Barrett coming up the side here. He's going to see the quick bubble screen to the outside. He jumps, and Alex Smith is fortunate he didn't just come up with that catch and or come up with that interception and take off the other way.
3rd and 2. There hasn't been very much to cheer about for these Denver fans. Alex Smith throwing, sideline, incomplete. Jeremy Maclin covered by Chris Harris Jr., and onto the field comes the Kansas City punting unit.
But that's still a smart throw. Even though he could have made a throw that could be more contested, that you could put it in a position where Maclin could battle for it, why take the risk of throwing a ball that could ultimately be batted up in the air, safety come over the top, get the interception? Alex Smith was smart with the football, throw it away. Dustin Colquitt's great at putting the ball down inside around the 10, so keep this field position game going.
This one bouncing inside the 5 and saved down there near the goal line. Let's see where they're going to put it down. The touchback made it into the end zone. Jamel Fleming, the first guy down there, tried to save it right there. And then Salim Hakeem couldn't stay out of the end zone.
Yeah, Hakeem loses his feeding there as he slips, and you can see that he's touching the goal line or into the end zone while having his hands on the football. Easy call for the officials.
Although Gene Steratore is in the middle of a conversation down at the 2-yard line.
Well, they may be asking if the Bronco player goes in there to try and get the ball. Once it's touched that first time, there's no jeopardy for the Bronco player to go in there. If he ends up touching it, then that would take it back to the other spot.
With the crew, the ruling on the field is that the kicking team member possessed the football and then released it. That possession is a downing and a down punt at the 1-yard line. We are putting the ball at the 1-yard line. 1st and 10, Denver.
So here is the possession by Fleming. And then the madhouse at the 1-yard line. Mike Carey, back in New York. Explain that to us.
Great. This is an unusual one, but just like a pass, a receiver, the kicking team, when he gets control of the ball 2 feet down, and then he has time to do something, and he pushes the ball backwards. That means it's a catch at that spot, and because it was a kick, the ball is dead at that spot.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Osweiler out of his own end zone, and that's complete across the 10 to Owen Daniels for a first down.
That's a great explanation, Mike, because understanding that rule, as you see Fleming get possession of the ball, he took 3 steps before he flipped it back. So clearing that up for us, I know the fans here in Denver in the stadium weren't real happy about it, but Brock Osweiler on his own 1-yard line, standing tall in his own end zone, not getting nervous at all, firing into Owen Daniels to give him some space now.
3:44 to play in the 3rd. Osweiler with all kinds of time, and flips it out here to the near side. And Demaryius Thomas gets another first down. Across the 30 to the 31.
I think it's important to note as a defensive coordinator, as defensive players, you prepare for a certain type of quarterback, and sometimes you have different players. You know, you go to Pittsburgh earlier this year when Roethlisberger went out and then all of a sudden switched to Michael Vick. Those are 2 completely different types of players. Peyton Manning and Brock Osweiler are very similar. They want to stand tall in the pocket. They want to make their progressions, push the ball up the field when they get a chance. And so I don't think you necessarily have to change a whole lot from a defensive standpoint if you're Kansas City.
Osweiler had to get rid of it in a hurry. Coming in from the near side was Justin Houston.
You see Houston coming off the edge here. Wins on that first move against Virgil Green, applying the pressure along with Jay Howard.
Well, Brock Osweiler already with 37 passing yards compared to 35 all day for Peyton Manning. 3 first downs on this drive already. Osweiler hit head on and brought down at about the 34, the 35-yard line by Hussein Abdullah.
Once again, Houston bringing the pressure up the field, making Osweiler step up in the pocket. As I said, he has a little bit more mobility than Peyton Manning, but not someone that I think is going to scare you when he gets out on the perimeter and takes off and runs.
Well, that's a little bit more bulk to tackle, too.
Yeah.
Hey, check Cocker, Zonka.
3rd and 6.
Cocker, Zonka.
As we come up on 2 minutes to play in the third. Osweiler got hit as he threw the ball. It's incomplete.
Well, that's dangerous as that was down around Osweiler's left knee.
And we have a penalty marker down on the near side of the field.
Illegal use of hands. Hands to the face. Defense. Number 22. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
So that's the rookie Marcus Peters. Let's see what 22 did.
Said hands to the face. There it is initially. Got it off there pretty quick, but that's one of those points of emphasis this year, and they don't want the defense going to the face for obvious reasons, and Peters gets the call and gives the Broncos a first down.
Osweiler going to go deep down the sideline. Another penalty marker is thrown. And a little jawing, a little shoving on the near side, and that's Peters and Demaryius Thomas.
Well, that's just Peters losing his cool there, because Demaryius, we all saw it. Demaryius Thomas shoved him first, but no penalty was called on that, and then Marcus Peters decides to shove him back, and that one does get called. But initially, there's either going to be a holding or a pass interference call before the second flag comes in after the play.
You know, I would think the Kansas City Chiefs want to be very careful not to lose their composure here in the second half. Here's Gene Steratore.
There is no foul for unnecessary roughness. There is, however, a foul for pass interference. Defense, number 22. The spot foul, automatic, first down.
So they took the two shoves as offsetting, basically.
Here's the original penalty as Marcus Peters is in contact with Demaryius Thomas. Pretty obvious he's grabbing him. That's what the penalty. Then you see him jawing back and forth. Marcus Peters talks about him grabbing the back of his head. Demaryius shoves him, and it's a little back and forth. And then the flag comes in, which is crazy. It ultimately was talked about by the officials. It was good that they overturned that second penalty, as both players were involved in that. But the pass interference call was pretty obvious.
Trent, safe to say the Denver Broncos are in 4-down territory.
They definitely are in four. Yeah, they definitely are.
Osweiler throwing and overthrows everybody. Under pressure as we take time to head back to New York. JB and Coach Bill Cowher.
Minnesota looking to solidify itself in first.
And after a Terrence Newman interception in the end zone, Adrian Peterson goes 80 yards. He has 203 yards on the day, and the Minnesota Vikings, with a Green Bay loss, take over first place in the NFC North.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, guys, thank you. You take a look at the NFC North standings. Green Bay, you just have to call it a shocking loss to the Detroit Lions today.
Very shocking loss, and the fact that Minnesota's doing that to Oakland. Oakland's one of the hot teams in the league, hot young teams in the league. So
Osweiler shakes his way out of trouble and slides down at the 37 to 38-yard line. Brock Osweiler at 6'8", 240 pounds, got away from Justin Houston.
Justin Houston, as he's getting close to Osweiler, decides to try and strip the ball out. Doesn't get as clean a hit as maybe he could have. By doing that, Osweiler's able to rip through that arm tackle and get a nice little gain.
38-yard line, 3rd and 4. Osweiler throwing. Incomplete. And the collision out there between number 16, Benny Fowler, and Eric Berry, the safety for Kansas City.
Well, Greg, you called it just a minute ago. It looks like the Broncos are staying on the field to go for this 4th down. We haven't had a chance to talk about Eric Berry much today. That time coming in, looks like he was going for the football. Ended up banging shoulders with Fowler. What a great story Eric Berry is, coming back after last year dealing with lymphoma, beating it.
And a true leader. So they're going ahead now on 4th and 4. And what's been working for Brock Osweiler?
Well, he's been able to get the ball out of his hands, and yeah, he's taken some shots. He's been able to work the underneath. Hasn't had a lot of success throwing the ball up the field, but being able to hit that underneath stuff, and that's what they need right now with only 4 yards to go.
Running out of time on the play clock. They use a timeout to stop the clock with 1:02 to play here in the 3rd. Down to Jamie.
Well, Greg, we saw Emmanuel Sanders leave the field earlier for a concussion assessment. He's passed the protocol. He's back on the sideline, but he's standing without his helmet. So take that as you may.
All right, Jamie, thank you. I would take that as meaning that as talented a receiver as Emmanuel Sanders is, they're taking no chances with him.
Yeah, I don't think you want to take that risk. And if he passed concussion protocol, there was a question mark of him. He had to come in today just to get clearance to play in this game, dealing with some other injuries during the week. Didn't practice all week, so
a tender ankle.
Smart decision not to force him back in.
So 4th and 4. Osweiler needs the 34 for a 1st down. And that's complete to the 30-yard line to Demaryius Thomas. New set of downs for Denver.
And the Chiefs are okay with that. You see the cushion that they're giving up. They're giving up the cushion. Leave the underneath stuff, try and rally, make the tackle, bring some pressure if you can. They just didn't want to give up something over the top when you're trying to force the hand on a 4th down where you become too risky and then all of a sudden you give up a big touchdown. So I think they were fine with that. Obviously, they want to stop them, but I think they're fine with that, being able to rally and make the tackle.
Under half a minute to play. Demaryius Thomas left the field. The give is to C.J. Anderson. And Anderson hit hard by number 96, Jay Howard. And that looks like that'll take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. We have played 3. 22-0 Kansas City. Peyton Manning looking on from the side. Back after this message and a word from your local station. Now back in New York, executive producers of the NFL on CBS, Sean McManus and Harold Bryant, the president of CBS Sports, David Burson. Here in Denver, our producer Bob Monsbach, our director Suzanne Smith, Greg Gumbel, Trent Green, Jamie Erdahl as we start the 4th quarter. Denver trying desperately to get something going from the 25-yard line. 2nd and 5, 15 minutes to play, 22-0 Kansas City. Osweiler, far side of the field, tipped incomplete. Intended for Owen Daniels, and that was Eric Berry once again.
Talk about how important the tight end is in this Gary Kubiak offense. Osweiler trying to hit Owen Daniels up the seam. Got an injury on the far side of the field, Marcus Peters.
And the massaging of the calf muscle looks like it would indicate the possibility of a leg cramp. Let's check in with JB and Coach Keller.
Brady still has an outstanding weapon.
Yeah, how about this? Rob Gronkowski is going to catch this ball, split the 2 defenders, and go 76 yards. It's the longest reception of his career. And the New England Patriots take back the lead 24-23 over the Giants.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
All right, guys, boy, the New York Giant team has the ability to play the New England Patriots tough.
They do, and going back to what Tony Gonzalez said, the NFL Today, he was all over Gronkowski having a big day, and Tony was proved right on that play.
He just likes most any tight end, you know that.
Give him any credit for talking about tight
exactly.
ends. I was cracking up as I was watching him this morning. All he wanted to talk about was the tight ends, but he was right on that one. Gronk had a big catch there.
Marcus Peters able to trot off the field. He's replaced by Jamel Fleming. 3rd and 5 for Osweiler.
Taylor! Omaha!
They're coming after him. Quick pass. Demarius Thomas has the first down. Ducks inside the 20 to the 19-yard line.
Yeah, 3-on-3 to the outside. Dontari Poe is actually, they ran a blitz off the edge and tried dropping out Poe into coverage. Big man getting down the field to be in on that tackle.
80-yard drive so far for the Denver Broncos.
Taylor! 180! What's up?
They'll give it to Hillman. And Hillman maybe a yard on the play to the 18. And Jay Howard in the middle of that tackle.
Some point in time, you got to try and take a shot into the end zone, working all this underneath stuff. I know that's what the Chiefs want to do is keep them away from that big play up the field, but now you're inside the 20. If you can find that one-on-one matchup, if you find something you like, this would be the space to try and go get it.
What's up?
On 2nd and 8, Osweiler throwing far side of the field. That's complete. And Andre Caldwell. Forward progress going to be marked at about the 12. And there's no way the Denver Broncos are thinking field goals here.
No, this is definitely 4-down territory, and with it being a 22-0 game, it's a 3-possession game. So you can get the touchdown and the extra point and still plenty of time left in the game. Broncos putting together a nice drive. Osweiler putting together some nice consecutive throws here. Osweiler right now 6 of 11 for 56 yards, getting some good things going, getting some confidence built.
Marcus Peters still a spectator on the Kansas City sideline, and so is Peyton Manning. Osweiler in trouble and goes down at the 22. Justin Houston, the NFL's sack leader a year ago with 22, comes up with a big one.
Justin Houston coming off the edge here. He doesn't fall for it. He gets upfield and is able to come through and sweep the legs and get the sack. As Greg and I just got done talking about, this is 4-down territory.
So 4th and 10. Osweiler needs the 10-yard line for a first down to keep this drive alive. Going to go for it all. Tipped and intercepted in the end zone. And Eric Berry has the football and is going to bring it out to the 15. And he's knocked around until he's brought down. Forward progress is going to be marked at about the 18-yard line.
Ball underthrown just a little bit as Sean Smith was able to jump up and tip the ball. Eric Berry with the hustle to get over to get in position and come up with the interception.
And maybe running it out of the end zone wasn't the best idea. 365 straight games of scoring, the longest active streak in the NFL. The Denver Broncos looking at a shutout right now with 12:03 to play in regulation. And the Chiefs looking to take some time off the clock. Let's go down to Jamie.
Greg, Trent mentioned this already. We are coming up on a year since Eric Berry was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He underwent chemotherapy as treatment, comes all the way back through training camp. But Andy Reid put it perfectly yesterday in our meeting. As his hair has come back, Eric Berry's game has come back for this Kansas City defense. And Reid attributes a lot of the leadership and a lot of the turnaround for the last 2 games, back-to-back wins, to Eric Berry.
Well, you're right, Jamie. They all do. Berry diagnosed November of 2014, returned to the field August of 2015. 2nd and 9. Smith throwing, wide open and complete to West. West, midfield, and more on his way to the end zone. Can they catch him? They cannot. Touchdown, Kansas City. And a late penalty flag at the goal line.
At first, I wasn't sure if Alex Smith was going to catch West coming out of the backfield. When he initially went out of the backfield, nobody was on him. But Alex had to slide it to get away from pressure, and he was able to hit Charkandrick West in that second window, and obviously West took it to the house from there.
that has triggered an exodus here in Denver. Well, they're still huddled up trying to figure this out, what happened at the goal line.
Well, Macklin came in with a late block on T.J. Ward. And then Ward turned around and flopped on top of Macklin. So my guess is since West was already into the end zone, they're going to get something on Macklin.
The touchdown is good. After the touchdown, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, a blow to the head. Defense, number 43. That player is ejected from the game for his act. The 15-yard foul will be assessed on the kickoff.
And that is T.J. Ward. So T.J. Ward is gone for the rest of this fourth quarter.
Macklin comes in for the block. Here's Ward here. Macklin's going to come in, and you'll see as he comes in for the block, and then watch Ward go down on top of him that second time, and I believe that's what brings the penalty.
Looks like he swung his right arm as he landed. Watch the right arm. There it is. And so Ward is done for the day. An 80-yard touchdown pass for Alex Smith, the longest of his career. Santos for the extra point. And with 11:10 to play, Kansas City in charge. Charkandrick West to the end zone. Alex Smith, a job well done. 29-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Watch live primetime games with NFL Mobile, only on Verizon. Clean, crisp Coors Light. And by New York Life, here to help you keep good going.
Because of the penalty, this will be teed up at the 50-yard line. 81 yards on the two-play drive, the last 80 coming Alex Smith to Charkandrick West. Santos will just sail this one out of everybody's reach. And they'll start at the 20. Let's go back to that TD.
Charkandrick West coming out of the backfield is uncovered. Initially, I thought Alex Smith was going to miss him. That outside release here, when he initially comes off the line, nobody covers him, and I thought for a second Alex was going to miss him, and then he's able to locate him after sliding his feet a little bit and makes Ward miss at the top, as Ward's the only safety back, and then there you see the penalty as the punch comes in by Ward to Macklin.
So West has carried 20 times for 53 yards and a touchdown, and he's caught 3 passes for 92 and a touchdown. Osweiler. And that is complete to Vernon Davis. And Vernon Davis makes his first catch as a member of the Broncos.
And coming into this game, they had talked to us about Vernon Davis being more involved in this game plan. They were going to get the combination of Owen Daniels and Vernon Davis, and they thought there would be some matchups that they could take advantage of. There were plenty of packages in place to take advantage of, and really got nothing going offensively there in the first half. And as you said, Greg, that's his first catch.
This is Hillman. Hillman to the 40 and ducks out of bounds just across the 45-yard line. I was looking for the word to try to describe Denver's offense. Sporadic doesn't even cover it today, does it? They've been frustrated almost every turn.
Very frustrating. You can't even say inconsistent because they haven't even shown spurts of having some success. This is, the earlier drive before the interception that Osweiler had was a sustained drive, and here now they put a couple plays back to back, but really got nothing going of any sort of continuity throughout the day.
Osweiler trying to get away and can't, and goes down at the 40, and that is number 50, Justin Houston again.
Houston once again bringing the pressure coming off the edge up top. D Ford bringing the other pressure, caused him to step up, and Houston able to grab onto that ankle. That's a big old 6'8" body.
I was about to say, that's a heck of a target. You can't miss him. So second and long yardage for Osweiler now, under 9.5 to play. And that quick pass is complete. And Benny Fowler moves his way to the 41-yard line and a first down. And once again to New York, and once again JB and Coach Coward.
Giants trying to capitalize on the turnover.
New England up by 1 driving, but Trumaine McBride steps in front of a pass intended for Brandon LaFell, and the Giants get another turnover, down by 1 point with the ball with 4 minutes to go in the game.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
How about that diving interception at the goal line? Huh?
Yeah, it's a costly mistake right there, and great play by the Giants.
Osweiler with all kinds of time this time, and that's complete. Going across the field, and for another first down is Cody Latimer.
That's great recognition by Brock Osweiler, recognizing he has a wide receiver matched up on an inside linebacker. And when you're trying to piece together, it's about matchups in the NFL, and you're trying to find those best matchups. And if you can locate that type of matchup with a wide receiver on a linebacker, you want to go to it. And just hitting a little drag route ultimately ends up becoming a big game.
Interesting, isn't it, that Osweiler got probably more practice, more reps than he usually gets this week, because Peyton Manning was limited in practice with his foot injury. That is incomplete, going through the hands of Juwan Thompson.
And you're right, Greg. Peyton didn't practice on Wednesday, and he had limited practice the next few days because of dealing with that foot, and then as we learned later in the week, dealing with a rib injury as well. So Osweiler getting plenty of work leading up to this game, and he's done some good things here today in some extended playing time.
These were his first snaps of the season today.
Taylor! What's up?
Osweiler on 2nd and 10, and that is incomplete, and that looked like it went right through the hands of Cody Latimer. Early on today, Peyton Manning passed Brett Favre to become the all-time leader in passing yardage. But after that, things went downhill. Things started to go downhill even before he passed Brett Favre with the Marcus Peters interception.
And a lot of it was facilitated by the pressure that the Chiefs were able to apply all day, and not necessarily transition into sacks against Peyton Manning, but the pressure they were able to put on him and force him into some bad throws.
3rd and 10. There's a terrific throw by Osweiler. Let's see where they spot forward progress to Demaryius Thomas. Osweiler showing off his arm there. And we have a Chief down on the ground. That is Sean Smith. Osweiler coming right at you with the pass to Demaryius Thomas. Sean Smith was able to walk off the field. He's standing on the sideline. Meanwhile, Marcus Peters has returned to the secondary. Jamel Fleming stays in and replaces Sean Smith at the other corner. That is Peters. 2 big interceptions today. First down now for Osweiler and the Broncos at the Kansas City 16. Osweiler pulls it down a couple of times, running out of time, and goes down, and that's Mike DeVito.
DeVito missing all of last season with a torn Achilles that he suffered in week 1. Just staying steady pressure as Osweiler's hanging on to the ball.
That one just felt like it was great coverage in the secondary.
Nowhere for him to go with the football.
So they're backed up now to the 23 for 2nd and 17. Coming up on 7 minutes to play. That's complete. Demaryius Thomas getting a block, looking for running room, squeezes his way down to the 16, and we go down to Jamie.
Sean Smith was on the sideline. He looked like he wanted to go back in on that sack, but he took one step with his right leg and grimaced a little bit. So he's back on the training table right now. They're taking a look at his right knee.
All right, Jamie, thank you. Clock continues to move, and the Broncos don't appear to be in much hurry to come out of the huddle. 3rd and 10.
Hey, double duel, double duel, double duel. We're good. Omaha, set.
That pass is complete inside the 10, inside the 5, down to the 1-yard line is Cody Latimer.
Latimer is lined up on the outside. He's just going to come underneath. He's going to hit him before. Looks like Derek Johnson trying to get out underneath it. Osweiler with good recognition, getting the ball on him quickly before Derek Johnson could undercut it. And then Latimer getting it up the field inside the 5.
So 1st and goal from the 1. Ronnie Hillman behind Osweiler, and we get a whistle.
Prior to the snap, defense, 12 men, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Just a reminder, those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS and our game between Kansas City and Denver, along with Trent Green and Jamie Erdahl. Greg Gumbel here in Denver. It is a 29-0 lead for the Chiefs. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast, where it will be seen at its regularly scheduled time. Scott Pelley is in Paris to further break down the horrific events that have happened there in the past few days. 5:45 and counting on the clock. The ball inches away from the end zone.
180! What's that?
Osweiler for Hillman, and Hillman to the end zone for the touchdown and the day's first score for the Denver Broncos.
Just running off the left side of the Broncos offensive line, able to get into the end zone.
And they will go for 2 points here. With 5:27 to play. Strange to see Peyton Manning as a bystander, an onlooker. Osweiler gonna run for it. Oh, he's hit hard at the 3-yard line. Eric Berry coming up from his safety position to put a lick on the quarterback. So the score remains 29-6. Kansas City, the Chiefs, from the very start, the better team today.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. The legendary sweet onion chicken teriyaki. Subway, eat fresh. And by Cialis.
Back in Denver with 5:27 to play here in the 4th quarter, and in all likelihood an onside kick coming from the Denver Broncos. A 12-play, 80-yard scoring drive led by Brock Osweiler. The injury that Jamie spoke of, Sean Smith, to his right knee, his return is now questionable for the rest of this game. There's the onside kick. It travels 10 yards, and it's picked up by the Chiefs' Anthony Sherman. Hey, Thursday on NFL Network, star rookie Marcus Mariota leads the Titans into an AFC South clash with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Thursday Night Football, Thursday at 8, only on NFL Network. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, as we mentioned earlier, with the most impressive win on the road at Baltimore today. You look at the AFC South.
Well, and it is. You have 2 young quarterbacks that are exciting to watch. starting to come into their own a little bit. Yeah, their records aren't indicating that the teams are having success, but as you just mentioned, Greg, Jacksonville getting a big win today on a 53-yard field goal as time expired.
Let me hit you with this one, because I know this is the first question that's going to hit Gary Kubiak in the post game. Do you start Peyton Manning next week at Chicago?
You definitely start Peyton Manning next week. I think this is Peyton Manning's football team. I think it just wasn't a good day for him. Yes, he set the all-time passing record, and that's an amazing accomplishment, but you can look at his numbers on the day. He just didn't have it today, and I think it's important for him moving forward to, you know what, sometimes games like this happen, and you get ready to roll, and I'm sure Peyton's going to come back fired up.
The oddity is it doesn't happen to number 18 all that often.
No, back-to-back losses here in Denver is unheard of for Peyton Manning, and the type of day that he had today is unheard of. But 2 losses in a row last week against Indianapolis, and then here today against Kansas City. They definitely have some things they need to address on the offensive side of the ball.
Peyton Manning had gone against the Kansas City Chiefs 15 times in his career, beaten them 14 times, and the only loss, let me see, who was that? It was to you.
Yeah, it's you know what, that was, we had played them in the playoffs in 2003, and it was a game where neither team punted, and Peyton was able to come away, Peyton and the Indianapolis Colts able to come away with the win that day. And then the following year in 2004, we got to play them on Halloween, and it was one of those shootout kind of games.
Let's flash back, shall we? Peyton threw for 472 yards, but the Chiefs were led by you. You threw for 389 and 3 touchdowns, and you won it 45-35. Peyton's numbers: 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. And Trent Green, let's see, 389, 3 touchdowns and no interception.
You saw that last highlight. You saw 88 climbing the ladder. You know, Tony Gonzalez, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame for a reason. So I was smart enough to throw to the right guys.
I can't tell you how proud I am sitting here with you. So Cairo Santos in to attempt a 48-yarder. And Andy Reid going to call timeout on the far side, and stops the clock with 2:57 remaining. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes. Scott Pelley reporting from Paris, followed by new episodes of Madam Secretary, The Good Wife, and CSI Cyber only. CBS.
How about Cairo Santos now going for a 6th field goal today? He had a game earlier where he had 7 field goals in a game, but been able to put together a very good day and take advantage of the field position that the Chiefs defense was able to give the offense all day.
How many times have we seen a team really lament the fact that they go deep into territory and come away with no points?
It is, but with how well the Chiefs defense was playing today, and I know we're talking over the top of Gene's territory here, but the fact that the Chiefs defense was playing so well, they were getting so many turnovers, and you know, having that field position, you're okay settling for field goals when it's that type of game.
Cairo Santos, 5 field goals today. Peyton Manning, 5 completed passes today. Santos from 48 yards out. High snap, and it was off to the right. Dustin Colquitt had to reach up for the snap, got it back down, and Santos pushed it to the right. Let's get another update from New York City. JB, Coach Bill Cowher.
Nip and tuck in the Meadowlands.
Josh Brown's 4th field goal of the day gives the Giants a 2-point lead, but Tom Brady gets the ball back with 1:47 to go and no timeouts. Can he do it again?
Back to Greg and Trent.
You know what they're saying at Giant Stadium, don't you? Uh-oh.
That's not a real comfort zone for the Giants. You give him 1:47. I know they said he doesn't have any timeouts, but he's done a whole lot more with a lot less time. So
the score remains 29-6, 3:08 to play, and Osweiler now operating from his own 38-yard line. Going to go deep, down the far sideline. Contact is made, penalty marker is thrown. Marcus Peters on Cody Latimer.
Pass interference. Defense, number 22. Spot foul, automatic. First down.
You know, Marcus Peters is involved in almost everything today, isn't he?
Well, yes, he's an excitable player. We've had a chance to talk to him in the past, and heck of a young player. Just the contact down the field with the ball in the air. This is an easy call for the official to make. You can hold your arms out all you want, Marcus. They're gonna call that.
Andy Reid has pulled his young cornerback off the field and replaced him with Steven Nelson.
They're trying to get him to calm down over there.
So now here are the Broncos at the Kansas City 26. Osweiler throwing. That's complete. Inside the 20 to the 15-yard line is Vernon Davis. Davis arrives in Denver with 55 career touchdown catches in his 10th season out of Maryland.
When you start looking at this game as a whole, Greg, and you go back to the first game, the Chiefs had 5 interceptions in that first game, and Denver was able to come away with the win. And Denver's sitting at 5 turnovers today, and the Chiefs have put themselves in position to win.
Andre Caldwell had that ball shaken loose by Eric Berry. Meanwhile, for the Kansas City Chiefs, they travel to San Diego next week to take on another divisional foe, the Chargers. Then they're home to Buffalo, at Oakland, then home to play San Diego.
And if you go just off of winning percentages, the Chiefs have the easiest schedule in the NFL over the final 7 weeks of the season.
Osweiler dancing free inside the 10 to about the 7. And within 2 yards of a first down. And that looks like that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play here in Denver. From the moment they arrived, it's been all Kansas City. Just a reminder, tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and Scott Pelley reporting from Paris. That's followed by new episodes of Madam Secretary, The Good Wife, and CSI Cyber, only CBS. Broncos at the Kansas City 8-yard line, 3rd and 2. And Osweiler had to throw it away. Josh Maga coming right at him up the middle. So on first down, they need 3 yards. Fourth down, they need 3 yards for a first down, 8 yards for a touchdown.
Well, they have one person going to the end zone and one person come underneath. A lot of times that ends up being in one of those bunch sets where somebody goes flat and you crisscross and find someone that can pick up the first down unless you find a matchup on the backside. We got Damaris, but he's in double coverage on the backside.
Osweiler escapes once, throwing, end zone, diving catch for the touchdown by Andre Caldwell.
Or you can spin, do a 360, slide to your left, move to your right, come back up. You know, it's yeah. Sometimes it just works out for you.
Dodges a couple of Chiefs, a couple of his own
mobility,
guys.
Good mobility in his good mobility in the pocket, and then keeping his eyes up the field. A lot of times, young quarterbacks that have the experience level of Brock Osweiler, you know, they tend to put their eyes down and want to take off and run. That time keeping his eyes up, found Caldwell in the back of the end zone.
And at 6'8", he gets a better view than most.
Yes.
Brandon McManus for the extra point. And it is good. So now it's 29-13 with 1:45 to play. And a reminder, coming up next, 60 Minutes, except on the West Coast, where it'll be seen at its regularly scheduled time. Scott Pelley over in Paris. The NFL in the headlines as well. So you would presume another onside kick upcoming from the Denver Broncos.
Considering they started the second half with an onside kick, I'm pretty sure they're gonna attempt another one. We've seen a surprise onside kick. We've seen a traditional onside kick, and we even saw the one where they act like they're going right and they come back to the left. So I think they've used up their bag of onside kicks. It's a matter of which one they're going to choose and trying to get that lucky bounce.
I'm sure Gary Kubiak will be asked about that too, starting the second half with that, but I get the feeling he's just looking for some kind of a spark for his team.
You had to. You had to. The offense is, as we've mentioned, the offense only had 40 yards in the first half, so trying to get a little bit of a spark, get the ball back quickly, get the ball at midfield, and another factor is he has confidence in his defense. So he gave the ball up at the 50, and Kansas City wasn't able to do anything with it. So it was a good calculated risk coming out in the second half.
Lots of guys up front for the Chiefs. And it is grabbed at the 45-yard line by Daniel Sorensen. And let's go down to Jamie.
Greg, Gene Steratore happy to have one of his teammates back on the sideline today. Line judge Gary Arthur. It was in Denver week 1. He took a brutal block in the back on a punt return. He suffered 9 broken ribs, a broken collarbone, and a partially collapsed lung. He told me he's lost 15 pounds in his rehab coming back from those injuries. He had to stay in Denver for 4 days after to have surgery on his collarbone, but he's happy to be back. He told me it's pretty cool that my return is back in Denver, the site that this all happened, and his teammates as well on the officiating crew were pumped to have him here.
Yeah, good for you, Gary. Glad to have you back. Kansas City now looking to run out the clock, and this is Charkandrick West, just short of the 35-yard line. The Denver Broncos, as they move forward. They're at Chicago next week. Then New England will be here before they travel to San Diego. Most of the road games are gone for the Broncos. They just have 3 more on the road in Chicago, in San Diego, and at Pittsburgh. And we have another player down on the field. That is Derek Wolfe, number 95. And he is up. We've had more than our fair share of hard hits in this game this afternoon.
This has been a very physical game, and Andy Reid talked to us about that his team had to come in here with an attitude, and they felt good about the way they'd been playing prior to the bye week. They got rested up a little bit. His tradition is, he's got such an incredible record, 14-2 coming off of the bye week in his head coaching career, that he felt good about his team getting prepared for this.
To the 32, and we check in once again, JB and Coach Cowher in New York.
The drama continues.
Trent, you said it, with 1 second left. Stephen Gostkowski, 54 yards. He hasn't missed this year. There's 1 second left, and the New England leads 27-26.
Back to Greg Gumbel.
The undefeated dream stays alive in the Northeast.
Well, Coach, I'd like to tell you that I'm always right, but that was a lot of time for Tom Brady to have. And
let me just tell Coach, you're never right. You're never right.
I had one earlier today. What are you talking about? It was on a replay. I had the interception that they overturned. So it's fun to be right a couple times in a day.
So there will be one more snap before this one winds down, and we will give the win to Kansas City and the loss to Denver. Denver loses its second straight and falls to 7-2. Kansas City has now won 3 in a row as they improve to 4-5, and they're tied with the Oakland Raiders in the AFC West. And by the way, the New England Patriots have closed out that win over the New York Giants.
When you saw where the Chiefs are tied with the Raiders at 4-5, they have the Raiders coming up a couple times here in this final stretch, and Raiders lost the game today to Minnesota. So Andy Reid's got the Chiefs right back in the thick of things.
Now 15-2 after a bye week. That is Andy Reid's record. Peyton and Alex Smith shaking midfield. Our final score, 29-13 Kansas City. Up next, 60 Minutes, followed by Madam Secretary, The Good Wife, and CSI Cyber. For Trent Green, for Jamie Erdahl, for all of our crew here in Denver, Greg Gumbel saying so long from Sports Authority Field at Mile High. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 50.